My name is Poetic Peach, and this is my poem, The Mind of a Black Woman. The mind of a black woman is too strong to withhold. Black men can't take what the mind of a black woman has to endorse through the soul. Spiritual, intellectual, bewildered is she, nor the mind of a black woman keeps her humbled as thee. What do they see when they look at she? Mind, body, and soul rejoicefully. Full force, no holding back, she grooms where she lacks. There is power in the mind of a black woman, we must glorify God for that. Through her mind she knows, in her face it shows, strength, embodiment, beauty so bold. In her mind she knows, through her face it glows, the power of her flower as the petals unfold. She is queen, and it is this through the mind of a black woman she knows.
Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Women. I'm your host, Shanera.
And Jenny Lee.
For those who have tuned in to Season 1, welcome back. And for our new listeners, this is our first episode for Season 2, and we are super excited to jump back into empowering others. With that being said, for the month of March, since it's National Women's History Month, we are doing 2 episodes on Women of Excellence. Today we have Carissa Johnson and Romana Turner-Turpin as guest speakers for an organization called Sisterhood. So, Romana, tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, thank you for having me and having us and allowing us to tell you a little bit about Sisterhood, which is near and dear to both of our hearts. I am a lifelong citizen of Reading, Pennsylvania. I was born here, raised here. I'm a Red Knight. I graduated from Reading High School in '69. Went to Kutztown University and got a degree in education. I have 2 beautiful children. Elmer's my son and Martha's my daughter, and love them dearly, and they're successful in their own right. I also have a bunch of grandchildren who I love dearly. They're my reason for being nowadays. Very bright and smart and gorgeous. So I love spending time with them. I've worked mostly in education and banking. Those are the 2 fields that I've spent my careers in. And I've loved both of them. So, you know, I've been involved with the community. My mother was involved in the community. And my father was not such a community person, but he was very involved in his church and liked to help people. So really, I don't know how else to act, you know. I was raised around people who were very involved in the community, so that's what I thought you did. So I love what I've done. I love what I do. And I love that Carissa is with me now doing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Carissa, tell me a little bit about yourself.
As Romana said, thank you for having us and inviting us here. We really do appreciate it. I too am a lifelong member of the beautiful city of Reading. Born and raised here. Reading High graduate, class of 2002. After graduating from Reading High, I went on to Widener University, where I earned a dual degree in criminal justice and psychology. After that, I also obtained my MBA from Alvernia University, and after that, for 10 and a half years, I worked at Berks County Jail as a treatment counselor. And I was recently elected last year in 2018. I started my new career as a magisterial district judge for Southeast Reading, being one of our first African American female MDJs in Berks County. And now that is my career and my passion. I've always had a passion of helping people, working with people, and just giving back to my community, related to the lovely Romana Turner-Turpin. And so, as she has already said, our family is engrossed within this community, and we have definitely helped to build this community in Reading. And growing up, that's what I saw. I saw my family members just giving back through the church, through boards, through just even local organizations that, you don't even hear of nowadays, but, they definitely help to build those and help this community thrive. And my grandfather as well. I mean, he was one of the directors at the Olives Boys and Girls Club for many years. He helped many children. To this day, I have adults coming up to me like, weren't you, Kurt's granddaughter, blah, blah, blah. We're always at the Olives, how's he doing? Still wondering how he's doing. I've heard some stories from people about how he has impacted their lives, how things I didn't even know that he did, giving people clothes and money and things of that nature. So just really building up those around him. And so that has definitely been ingrained in who I am and who I have become to be. And so that's what I do. I just continue to give back in every opportunity that I can, in every aspect that I can, whether it's mentoring with the Sisterhood or sitting on different boards or just building up our community however way I can, get in where I fit in is pretty much how I operate now.
Thank you so much for giving back to the community. We greatly appreciate it. So speaking in regards to your passion, today we are going to be speaking on the Sisterhood. Can you tell us a little bit about what Sisterhood is and how it was founded and things like that?
Sure. I had a lot of good friends and still do, but some of the friends were people who came from other places to Reading because of work or because of their husbands or significant others' work. And we've never, Reading's been kind of different in that in most cities there's a area in which African Americans live and have businesses and what have you. We haven't had that in a long time. Back in the day, we had a lot of African Americans settle in the 6th Ward where I'm from, and then south of Penn, there was an area mostly around South 7th Street, where there was a large African American community. But that's gone away. So people would come to this area, their companies would move them into housing, generally not in Reading, and they just had a hard time getting connected with the African American community. So these friends of mine and I used to talk all the time about, we would run into these women and we didn't know they were even around, and they were asking about hairdressers and barbers and this and that, where they could get greens, and we didn't even know they were around. Nobody even knew that they had moved here. So we decided that we would try to do a little organization where we could reach out to those women and network with them, provide networking opportunities. And that's really how the organization started. In the year 2000, the 6 of us who had been talking about this networking group for a long time invited about 30 women to Judy's on Cherry. And we chose Judy on Cherry because it was a women's owned business, and Judy Henry was very involved in the community, very community minded, and her food is amazing. I mean, that's the other issue. Has always been amazing. So about 30 women gathered, and we talked about the idea and what we wanted to do, and out of that grew the Sisterhood. So for the first, I'm not sure how many years, we were really a networking and outreach organization. And then we talked about, probably, 2-3 years into it, we talked about how there was a need to do something for young black girls. There was a lot going on for the boys, lots of athletic organizations. Blacktop was everything at that time in the summer. And girls were just kind of hanging around the peripheral, not really doing anything except waiting for the boys. So we decided we needed to try to do something to gather up girls, African American girls, and most of the women in the organization were professional women. Not all, but most were. And we thought, it would be maybe give them some other options. We could be role models for them, and maybe have them not just hang around boys, but have some other things to do. And so that sort of is the way that our mentoring group started. And there were other organizations around, like Girl Scouts and Campfire Girls, but they didn't have many African American girls involved, if any. And actually, my daughter wanted to be a Girl Scout when she was around 6 or 7 years old. There was only one troop in Reading on Center Avenue, one troop in the whole city. And the poor lady was so overwhelmed. I talked to her one time. She never got back to me. So, there was this real lack of anything for our girls to do. And as you know, the African American experience is very different from other experiences. So we really felt like we had something to give to young girls.
So Carissa, how long have you been in the organization, and what is it that you do for your part?
I have been with the Sisterhood for about 5 or 6 years now. I originally joined and wanted to be a part because my sisters were blossoming girls, so they were a part of the Sisterhood as well as mentees way back when. So I knew what the Sisterhood was about, and I thought that it was amazing, and I thought that it was an opportunity for me to share and help young girls, young African American girls, grow. As Romana said, we don't really have a lot of that, or a lot of people who look like us mentoring and telling and showing our girls that they can do and be anything that they want to be. I still have that problem today when I go out and talk to them about the criminal justice system and things of that nature, and I still get the shock. Oh, you're a judge,
right?
Really? You look like me. I actually had one little girl say, "Is she black?" to her mom when I came out on the bench. So I knew that this was an opportunity to try and foster young girls and show them that they can do and be anything that they want to be. So that's one of our main focuses with the Sisterhood of Reading, which is not only instilling good self-esteem, also educating them on the different cultures and just different things out in the community. We just took the girls to New York, and I was surprised that none of them have been to New York, although I can't be too surprised. I've only been there twice. But just, giving them those kind of opportunities that they probably would have never, had, and to show them that there is something else out there besides Reading. Is definitely one of our goals, but also making sure that they have good grades and moving on towards secondary education, regardless if that's a trade or college. But we try and push that and educate them on the opportunities that they have, and that's afforded to them. So some of the things that we do with the girls are etiquette, manners, and how it's important to conduct yourself as an appropriate young lady in today's society, because we have, things are social media, stuff, negative social media out there.
Twerking, all types of stuff.
Yeah. So
inappropriate dress.
Right.
Makeup. Just the way that they carry themselves, thinking that it's okay to be, a Love and Hip Hop girl or a video vixen, and that's not. That's not what they should aspire to.
Right.
So we just did an etiquette dinner not too long ago, which they loved and they had a great time at. 2 years ago, we kind of did a overnight workshop where we also did another etiquette dinner, and we also had kind of like seminars on appropriate dress and appropriate ways to wear makeup, and also to we also did a Kwanzaa event that day as well, but also appropriate dress, makeup, and appropriate behavior. And sometimes we model some of our events off of our interactions with the girls, also off of things that we see within social media, and mostly their behaviors. So we did that. We did etiquette dinner. We also recently again went to New York. We went to the African American Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. Last year. What else have we done? We recently started doing more community and community service events. So we actually just participated in Martin Luther King Day of service and giving back. So we're going to try to incorporate more community service events as well, teaching them to, of course, give back and the importance of giving back as well. We do fun things with them as well because we don't want them to always feel like we're constantly coming down on them. Yeah. So we go to bowling events just to kind of be together and, open up and ask whatever questions, because sometimes some of the girls don't have or feel like they can talk to some of the adults in their lives at home. So we're an extension to that. So we just, want to be together. I want to use the word fellowship is kind of what we do. Movies, we went to go see Black Panther together. We also went to go see Selma together last year when that came out, and talked about the importance of voting and where that comes from, and also the civil rights movement. So we kind of use events that happen, or day-to-day events, to kind of educate and instill different things that unfortunately our children are losing out on. Actually, my niece, one of my nieces just told me the other day that they didn't even really know what Black History Month was.
It's not talked about.
So we try and teach that kind of stuff as well, because it's being lost.
So what age range, what ranges for the
sickle cell walk? We do the sickle cell walk every year. I have sickle cell, so it's near and dear to my heart. And I used to walk every year in the sickle cell walk in Philadelphia. So we started taking the kids a couple years ago, and it was amazing to me that none of the girls knew what sickle cell was. And it's a devastating disease that doesn't just affect us, but hits probably the African American community the hardest. So that's been an interesting conversation as well.
And what age ranges do you do for the girls?
So 13 to seniors in high school, so it's 18. So 13 to 18 is the age range for our blossoming sisters.
And typically, how many sisters do you have? Are they with mentors, or is it just one big group and you guys go out on adventures?
Well, at this time, we usually do go out together on adventures, but each mentor does have an assigned mentee to check in on. They can do one-on-one things with, and to just kind of give them that, one-on-one guidance in between our monthly events. And right now we have 8 girls. We have 8 girls and how many? 7 sisters, 7 mentees. Mentors. I apologize.
Awesome. Do y'all have any behavior issues in regards to the girls? And how do you handle those situations when you're out and about?
Every once in a while, we will encounter that. And we address it head on at that time. And then, we try and use it as a learning technique later on. So like I said, sometimes we can create or plan a event around it moving forward. But you of course have to address the behavior and our expectations and the expectations that they should have for themselves as young ladies, and how that they should conduct themselves as young ladies when they are out within the community, not just with us, but also on a day-to-day basis.
I think, all kids do what they see, not what you tell them. So I think that's one of the things we've been very careful about, and not everybody can be a sister. So, we've been called bougie for that. Well, if that's bougie, so be it. But we want to carry ourselves, dress, talk in a certain way, behave in a certain way, because that's the way we want our girls to talk. And you know what? They get it. They get it, especially when you get the girls young. We try to get the girls young. But every once in a while you have one or two that are rebels. And we've had one young lady who we've sent back in the house on several occasions to change her clothing, because her clothing just was not appropriate. And we didn't want her going out representing the organization and herself. I mean, even more than us, herself. Looking the way she did. So we're kind of old school in that way, in that approach. But
you're bringing respect back.
Yes, and many of the girls were asked to mentor because they are having issues. Not all of them, but many of them are having issues. Maybe they're being raised by one parent, or I don't know. They're not doing well in school. Usually it's not so much behavioral issues, but they just need a little more guidance. So we can't let them get away with things that we know are going to hurt them in the long run. So nobody's coming down on them, and we understand that some of these kids just need some love, just need a hug, need somebody to talk to them every once in a while. So it's not that we come down hard on them, but there are some expectations, and we're clear about those expectations. And when they're not living up to those expectations, there has to be a conversation.
So do you also teach the younger women about hygiene and things like that?
Yeah, we do. We've had a couple people come in. One of our original members, Lorraine McNeil, was you're always a nurse. And so she used to always do a really nice job of talking to the girls about hygiene and, all the other things that come with being a woman, especially a young woman.
Right.
And even though she's not an active member anymore, she still comes back and does that for us when we want her to. My daughter, who does hair and makeup and stylist work, talks to the girls about that. And Carissa has a friend that does makeup and hair, and I think the last time she was the one that came and talked to the girls about appropriate makeup. Because, listen, we know that the girls are experimenting with that, but some of it's just over the top. So, we try to talk them about what's appropriate for their age.
And now, when you say giving them guidance when they aren't able to speak to people at the home, do you guys talk to them about sex education as well? Yeah,
Lorraine does that. Generally, Lorraine's the one that does that, because that's what she does. And she can come at it from a medical way that's probably a little more appropriate than the way we would come at it. So, yeah.
Do y'all have discussions about it, or is it just something that she does one-on-one with each?
No, it's done in a group setting. Okay. Yeah, most of what we do is in a group setting, unless there's a girl that's having some personal issues, and you don't want to put that out in front of all the other girls. But most of that sort of thing is done large group setting.
Okay. And what testimonies do you have in regards to anyone graduated?
My gosh. Almost everybody. We were talking about that the other day, and we really probably should do a better way of tracking it, a better job of tracking it. But we were talking about the other day that, listen, almost all of our girls have either gone on to college or some kind of secondary education.
One's a business owner. Photography.
Yeah. We got one that's a business owner. We have one that's doing PR and marketing down in Washington D.C. She was at the White House for a while. She's the one that got us into the African American Museum at the Smithsonian, because at that time it was impossible to get tickets, but she got tickets for us. There's a young lady who is a manager of McDonald's in Wyomissing. I love going in there and seeing her. A nurse. We've got quite a few nurses, actually, when I think about it. Jalen, what does Jalen do? She's a
So both my
counselor.
sisters graduated from the program. One's a nurse, and one last year she graduated with her MSW, Master's in Social Work.
That's awesome.
She's a director for a teen pregnancy program at Lancaster McCaskey High School. And she works part-time as a counselor for a sex trafficking shelter as well. So we have a lot of success stories.
Yeah. We have another young lady who went off to beauty school, and she does hair as well. She's a cosmetologist.
Another woman graduated from Millersville as well, and she's now in Texas, and she does like OSHA stuff. I don't know exactly what OSHA.
We got some girls doing some great stuff. And even those who did not maybe have a straight course to success, kind of had a bend. Even they have come around and gotten their life back on track. That's and good. Are doing really good stuff. And we probably could do a better job of reaching out to them, but we do try to reach out to them, especially if we know where they are. And all of us are so proud of them, so it's great. Yeah.
I think moving forward, we'll probably be able to do a better job, because one of the things that we have made mandatory is if I send them a friend request on Facebook or any form of social media, you have to. It is mandatory that you have to accept it so that I can see and keep track. And I think moving forward, that's going to help us to be able to keep track of where they are and what they're doing and things of that nature. And right now I use it, to monitor what's happening, because they don't always tell us what's going on, so we can see, because these kids these days, they just post everything.
Yes, they do.
Eating a pickle to this boy broke my heart. Right.
And we try to tell them about the pitfalls of that as well. Once it's out there
for everybody to see. Now we got
can't
screenshots.
Take it back.
Right.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I think we'll have a better idea of where they are and where they're going. So like I said, I've only been involved for the past 5 or 6 years, so I don't know all the other girls from before. I would friend them all and so that we can have more testimonies. But we do try and ask some of the girls to come back, because one of the things that we kind of partner now, but we used to host the African American scholarship banquet, but now we partner with some other organizations as well. But we used to have one of our girls come back and kind of talk about where they are now, and kind of give their kind of testimony as far as how education has helped them and what they're doing now to be successful and things of that nature. So
That's great. That's great. So, have you ladies ever had anyone that isn't African American that's, was interested in being in sisterhood? Or how do you approach that?
Not to my knowledge. We've had some of the girls who were already in sisterhood ask about girls who are not of African American descent.
Like, can their friends join?
Yeah. And and that's a hard subject. And we've talked about that on several occasions. But at this point in time, because, there was a time when we had 25 women. So we could host 50 girls. But now that we have like 7 or 8 women, we can only really host like 15, 16 girls, 14 girls.
Okay.
So just by sheer numbers, we've decided to kind of stay with African American girls. Now, that doesn't mean that, we have lots of girls who are biracial. Dad's African American, mom's Caucasian, or dad's Latino and mother's African American. So as long as they are somehow tied to the African American community, they're welcome. But to date, we've not, and it's a conscious decision, not to take girls who are not at least part African American. And there's a lot of, at least there used to be some other things out there for other girls. So that was the other thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was nothing.
Nothing for
There
us.
was nothing.
So we were trying to fill that void.
Yeah.
That's good. Now your
That's
mentors,
understandable.
are they all African American as well?
Yes.
Okay. And what is their responsibilities in regards to the mentors?
Everybody, whether you're a mentor or a mentee, and we call them sisters and blossoming sisters, everyone is expected to attend a certain number of meetings and events with the girls.
Okay.
So that's something that we expect of our older women and our young women as well. Dress, like Carissa was just talking about, now they have to agree to friend Carissa so we can monitor social media. We ask to see their grades when they get their grades. Some of them do, some of them don't. We've got to sort of do a little better job of reeling that in. But we want to make sure that they're doing, and we've been really, really fortunate and blessed that we've always had women in our organization who are tied to the educational system.
Okay.
So even when they don't show us our grades, we can find out. Yes, we can find out if they're doing okay. We might not be able to see everything, but we know if they're failing or they're not failing. So, that's been a blessing always. So, other than showing up dressed right, appropriately, doing well in school. Yeah, we don't ask for a lot more. If they do that, they'll do well. Is that close?
I agree.
And as far as for the mentors that are being with the Blossoms, do they have to, is there a certain age range that you have for them or education that you need in regards to them?
Not really. We've had people say, oh, I don't have a college degree. Well, not all of our women have had college degrees, but they've all been, how can I put this? Really good, upstanding community people.
Okay.
my best friend didn't have a degree, but she was married to a doctor. We have a cousin that's involved, and she's actually in college now. She went back to school, but she didn't have a degree, but she had a great position in the post office for years. So everybody has had, I don't know how I should say this. Yes, yes. But other than showing up, there is a financial piece to it. They're expected to pay so much in dues every year. We don't have an age limit. They've got to be at least older than girls, obviously. But what I'd like to see, and what we're going to probably be working on this year, is getting some younger women to join, because most of us have been there a long time. Many of us, there's probably 4 of us who've been there since the beginning. So we need, and we're getting up there. In fact,
so out of all 7 women, I'm the youngest one.
And how old are you?
I'm in my 30s.
So we want this to continue. We want this to continue. And if I drop dead tomorrow, who's going to step up?
Right. So this is. It's definitely been. Even a mentoring and growing position for myself as well, learning from the other women. So, you can always learn from those around you. So I definitely learn from the other mentors as well. They have a lot to still educate me on. But one of the other things that we are definitely looking for in mentors or sisters is the passion. Like, you have to definitely have a passion to help, to give back. Because sometimes, we're dealing with teenagers. Sometimes they can push some buttons and get on some nerves. Yeah. But, if you love what you do and you love giving back and helping and wanting to see these girls, flourish and also blossom, that's why they are called Blossoming Sisters. We need people who really want to do that and really want to see these young girls succeed. So we're definitely looking for, we're always looking for new mentors, new sisters to come in. But that I personally believe that is definitely one of the things that you definitely have to have. You don't have to have a degree, ages, whatever, but you definitely have to have a passion and a love for this and for them.
That's awesome.
The other thing that we've sort of let go by the wayside, because we were so into the girls, is that whole networking piece. And we would like to start that again. We would like to have opportunities for especially African American women to network and learn through speakers and trips and whatever.
Training,
which we used to do in the beginning. That was kind of how we started. A lot of the women who were really into that piece are no longer part of the organization. But that's the other thing. Maybe you're not kid crazy, but you like kids, but you would like to help us with doing some of the things that we need to do for all African American women. So that's the other thing we're looking to kind of beef up with some new members.
So what type of networking, or do you guys use social media to get your word out in regards to how you're going to branch and get new mentors? Is it word of mouth?
Well, for new mentors, we have been, of course, utilizing social media.
Okay.
We just spoke, we just kind of had our own conference not so long ago to kind of revamp and rethink about, what we need to do and how we're going to go about bringing more women in. So that was one of the things that we definitely talked about moving forward with, is doing more networking events and also kind of showcasing. It's kind of like a 2-prong, showcasing that who we are and what we do, because as you guys have said, you didn't know who we were and what we did, and we've been in this community for almost 20 years now. So it's doing that as well, and also allowing us as women to kind of fellowship again together as well. And if it turns into, oh, you just like to fellowship, and then it's like, oh, well, hey, I want to be a part of the mentoring aspect as well. I mean, that would be great. So right now we're working on putting together a networking event coming up. So hopefully we can get more women to come out, and how we plan on marketing that, of course, is through social media. Hopefully people, on the podcast will hear and want to come out and attend our next event. And also, yes, through church, because a lot of us are connected through church, and also connected through other boards and other social engagements that we're already a part of. So, I know a woman who I'm going to invite to the networking event so that they can see what we do, see who we are. And sometimes other people have reached out to myself on social media saying, hey, how can I get my daughter involved? Right. Or, hey, how can I be involved? So, again, this networking event will give us the opportunity to do that. We invite them to meetings, and we also invite them to some of the events with the girls so that they can see firsthand what we do, and if they really want to continue to be a part of that.
That's awesome. So with you being, the founder, I guess, of Sisterhood.
Well, not just me. There were others with me. I'm just one of the founders. I'm just one of the founders. I'm just the one that's still hanging around here.
What would you like to see in the future in regards to the transition from the women now to the teens?
I'd like to see us. One of the things that is always trying is to get a balance between what we think the girls need to learn and what they would like to do. So we've got to get better at that balance.
Okay.
And planning. So that's one of the things that we're going to work on. I'd like to see some of the old blossomings come back. I've invited a couple of them to join the Sisterhood as sisters. And the only problem with that is most of them are at the age where they're just building their lives now. So I had one who she's a young lady that owns her own business, and she wanted to, but she was pregnant at the time. I didn't even know it. But she was pregnant with her first child. She's had her second child. So, and she's building this business, so she really doesn't have the time. But we need to, as Carissa said, getting some young girls, young women, and do some mentoring with them. They need to see the way the organization works. But I know that we can grow, and I would love to have some women come in and say, okay, you guys do this really well, but this is what we need to be doing now. Because I'm sure there's more out there that we could be doing, and you don't want to get stale and stagnant. And one of the nice things is the girls sort of move through on kind of a 3 or 4 year cycle. So some of the girls don't know that they've done I don't know, going to Lincoln University because we went 4 years ago, and now we're going to Howard this year. And that's one of the things we do. We try to get to visit an HBCU every year. Yeah. So we've not gotten a lot of grief from the girls because most of them don't remember doing that because it was the older girls. But still, I'm sure there's other things out there that we could be doing that we've not done yet, and yeah, we need to do that.
Open to suggestions.
Yes.
Okay. How about you? What would you like to see?
I agree, but I definitely agree with. I would like to see some of the girls who have graduated, already gone through the program, kind of come back, because they can speak to the girls on a different level. Like I said, when this started, I was in college, so I wasn't a part of this. So I only got to see what my sisters, did and how it kind of helped them. So it would be nice to see them come back and, pay it forward kind of thing. So I would like to see that. I also would like to see some younger women as well. I'm tired of being the only young one, So when I talk about social media, everyone looks at me like I have two heads. When I talk about texting, they're like, why don't you call? Why don't you write a letter? I'm like, yeah, this is how we communicate now. So
Why don't you do pictures?
right, who scrapbooks? Like, we don't do that. But I mean, they like to hang on to their traditions, and I think that is great.
These are millennials,
right? So I would definitely like to see that as well. And again, I would like to see us grow. Like when I became involved, we haven't had more than 10 women. So to hear and to see the pictures of the 30 to 25 women, like I would love to see that happen again, because the more women we have, the more girls we can take on. So I would love to see that as well.
Do you guys want to branch out, not just doing Berks County, but do you guys see Sisterhood being nationwide? Is that something you ever thought about?
You
gotta dream big, right?
We have our hands full here, but and that's one of the nice things about participating in things like the sickle cell walk. You get to see, if you've lived your life in Reading, it's sort of, there's sort of
You're in a box.
Yeah, I didn't want to put it that way, but it is.
It's a lot of places.
Yeah,
a lot of places, like I'm from a different area, and
and I agree.
They're in a
It
box.
is like a box.
Yeah.
It is like a box.
I would say Berks County's in a time warp, but it's nice to get young people and not so young people out. Jack and Jill's march, and most people don't know here what a Jack and Jill organization is. Fraternities, sororities, other mentoring groups. So I think long term it might be a good thing to think about. Maybe even just neighboring areas.
That'd be good.
Rather than maybe just not Berks County, but whatever York is, and Lebanon, and so certainly that could be a vision, but right now we're just trying to shore up what we have here.
That's great.
Yeah.
So where can we find you? Do you have anything on social media?
Yeah, we have our own page, which is mostly Carissa does.
Yes.
I post some things, but that's kind of her baby.
Yeah.
Is it on Facebook?
It
Yes,
is on Facebook.
The Sisterhood of Reading.
Okay.
So like our page on Facebook. I haven't had the opportunity to open on Twitter and Instagram yet.
To come. It's to come.
Yeah, to come. I got my hands full with Facebook right now. So yeah.
But when we have events, we usually put them out on Facebook.
Okay.
We just had a fundraiser at Friendly's, and that was nice. And we do a spaghetti dinner every year. My Latina sisters, kind of started doing that. There used to be an organization around called the Latina Gathering. And one of their fundraisers was a spaghetti dinner, and they used to make a whole lot of money on their spaghetti dinner. And we do well on it. I mean, I'd like to see us. We could do so much better. But we have a spaghetti dinner at least once a year in November down at Spartico. It's the third
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yes, third Wednesday. I apologize. Third Wednesday of November every year.
Yeah. And it's fun. I mean, we have a great time. The girls are the waitresses. Our blossoming sisters are the waitresses. So it's they have a good time. It's a great time. We used to do a dance every year. We sort of stopped doing that, but
I would like to see that.
we're looking to do that again. We're
African dance. That would be nice.
we're looking to do maybe a dance in May. We're working on it, so I hope we can pull it off. A Derby Day dance, actually.
So get your hats out.
Yeah, hats and gloves. And so, I mean, I'm not sure I answered your question, but there's, a lot of things that we hope are on the horizon.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving back to the community, especially being African American. It's an honor.
Yeah.
I have a boy, wish I had a girl, but
Yeah.
I'm interested. Maybe I can join the team.
That would
in
be
the
awesome.
future.
Listen, if you join our team and you only have a boy, it will fill your need to have a girl.
Well, I gotta find a husband first.
That's what I'm saying. You can have a girl without the need to go through all that stuff. So.
And as you were speaking on the sisterhood, I really like this because, like I said, I never heard of yous, and being in Reading and growing up in Berks County most of my life, and then when I'm hearing this now, it's like, wow, there's other things out there that a lot of kids and teenagers don't know that there are things out there to actually do and get involved, because I grew up going to the YMCA.
Right.
So that was like the only place that I knew to go because I had nowhere else to hang out at, or I hung out in the streets.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, like when you mentioned Blacktop, like I'm like, oh my goodness, I used to be one of them girls too. So,
Yeah.
so it's like, and with you doing this is a great opportunity for a lot of girls out there, especially for the younger, African American girls that especially, I see a lot of girls young and then older, especially when it comes in the Latina culture as well. I see it all too familiar, how the behavior, social media, and all that. So I can relate as well, when I see things like that. But this is a really, really great organization.
Well,
I think
thank
it's
you.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, we definitely, 20 years went flying by. I can't believe it's been that long. But we definitely want to see it sustained and grow, because I don't know that we'll ever, I think that will be a double negative. I think we always will have a need
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
to have a place where, especially girls, but boys also.
They have sports.
Well, they do. But one of the things that concerns me, and I tell some of our brothers this all the time, is sports is one thing, but sitting down having a conversation with a young man about being a young man and how you treat women.
And a lot is lacking fatherhoods in the
Yes,
household as
yes,
well. That's
yes.
true. We do need something like that.
So I'm always kind of beating up on some of these other young men around and saying, you guys need to step up and do more than just play basketball.
Right.
You can do that once you get your kids growing out the house. You have more time for that kind of stuff. So hopefully that'll happen, but we need to shore up our organization and make sure that when myself and Dr. Linda Matthews and Sister Dolores Booker, we go off into the sunset, Connie Mitchell Bates, who are original members. Unfortunately, we lost my close friend, grew up with her, and was one of the ones who really led the charge in bringing us to be a mentoring organization, and that was Tina Edwards, Tina Key. She passed away a couple years ago, broke all of our hearts, but certainly left a great void in my life. And thank God Carissa sort of stepped up with the girls when she passed away. But, we need to shore up the organization to make sure that when we go away, that there's still people who will, who understand what we're doing and will, and we have a couple young ladies who really have come in and stepped up, but we need more. We definitely need more. And listen, even if you don't want to come to, we have a meeting every month. Even if you don't want to come to the monthly meeting, maybe there's another way that you can help. Maybe you can do a workshop with the girls. One of the things that we like to do is have them read a book, and then we talk about the book.
That's good.
So we have one of those planned real soon.
Yes.
And so maybe you want to lead a book discussion or whatever. Teach them how to make jewelry or sew.
Have y'all had a cooking class yet?
Okay. Our friend Tina, who died, she was actually a home economics teacher. So she used to do cooking classes with them. She was
a great cook.
She was. She was a great, not just cook. I mean, she could do anything that had to do with decorating or home life. She could do it all. And when she left the district, she was with the Reading School District. She was actually the assistant principal down at Southwest Middle School. Southwest, they still middle school? Okay. But she, so we need to find somebody. Do you guys cook? You want to come in and cook with our girl? Awesome.
I cook Spanish food. So.
Hey, look, our kids eat Spanish food. So that's all right. Those kinds of, kind of once and done, or once a year or twice a year and done, volunteers would be welcome as well. Sure, absolutely. And we can hit us up on Facebook.
Thank you, Carissa and Romana, for being our guest speaker. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the information that we can also use for the community. And just thank you, and keep doing what you guys are doing. I'm totally amazed by the works that you guys have done, especially 20 years you said?
Yeah,
that
19, it'll be 20 next year, yeah.
20 years, going to be 20 years, and it's amazing. And like I said, I've never heard of yous, but you know what? You guys like I said, you guys been in the Berks County area for such a long time, and I really love, and I would love to see more in the future and hear more what you guys are doing in the future. Thank you
for having us.
You're welcome. Be sure to tune in to episode 24 for our next guest speaker on Women of Excellence. Be sure to catch up on season 1, like, share, and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram.
And we are also actually looking for sponsors, so any sponsors that want to be advertised on our website, please email us at uncommonwomenpodcast@gmail.com. We have a couple of retreats that we were invited to that's not local, and we have a clothing line coming out as well, so if anyone's interested in sponsoring us, please email us. Thank you for tuning in, and ladies, remember,
stay uncommon.